Hey guys! Today we're doing a video with our new dog Oreo that the dolls just got. We're going to be filming some DIYs for your doll-sized dog. So we're going to be making a few things, so let's get started. Get started with your first DIY. We're taking 2 bottle caps and some paint and a paint palette. So we're just pouring... Oh, a paintbrush too, obviously. We're just pouring some of our paint onto our paint palette. We're using a dark blue because our dog is a boy. These are 2 vitamin water bottle caps because they were the perfect size for our dog, but you can use like an orange juice cap, like those big bottles, or even something as little as like a water bottle cap. So all I'm basically doing is painting the bottle caps blue, just because we wanted them to be blue instead of like the clear translucent white that they are. So I just used a paintbrush. It doesn't really matter what size, so I just took a paintbrush and painted them. The bottle cap does have like ridges around the edge to make sure it has a grip so you can open it, but we just painted right over it and it ended up working out. So we're letting it dry, and then once it was dry, it's kind of dries more matte, but we're just taking some white paint and pouring it off to the side on a paint palette. And I'm using a slightly thinner brush so that we can paint the words on, because these are obviously going to be food and water bowls. So that's all I'm doing is I'm going to paint on the words food and water. Okay, so now that the words are dry, we're just going to show you some things you can do. So as I just showed you, we used blue pom-poms to fill up our water bowl, but you can also use like craft foam or anything like that. So that's how we made our water. And to make our food, I just cut a strip of like tan craft foam, and I'm just cutting it up into little pieces, like triangle shapes, bigger pieces, smaller pieces, just like if you've ever seen dog food. It's kind of... the shapes vary a lot, so that's just what I'm doing. I'm cutting them up. I only really needed 1 strip because our bottle cap was pretty small. This strip was able to fill it up, so some of them went off to the side, but I filled the bowl up, and it looks super cute. It looks just like dog food and water. Okay, so here we're going to be making dog-sized, like little dog treats, like little biscuits. So I'm using a piece of craft foam, tan toothpicks, and an X-Acto knife. Warning, please be careful when you're using an X-Acto knife. It's really sharp. Have parental help if you're not old enough. So there's that. So now I'm just tracing out the dog bone shape. I'm just doing it freehand. I'm using a toothpick because it kind of makes the shape that you want to have. It's almost like using a pencil, but it can kind of dig into the craft foam. And then I'm using a X-Acto knife to super carefully cut out the dog bones, and because they're really small, you have to be really careful when you're using an X-Acto knife, just to be really careful. And I just kind of did it roughly, and then I popped it out because I was able to clean up the edges with some scissors. So I'm just cutting it out. It was actually pretty hard because it was so small. So maybe you want to make it bigger when you do it because they were really small and hard to cut out. So here I'm just popping it out. And it looks really cute, and I'm just like cleaning up the edges and making sure everything looks good. And that's how you make the biscuit. And you can also use a toothpick and carve the words like dog or treat or yum or something like that into the bone. I carved the word dog in. It didn't really work out that well, but I think if you had a bigger biscuit, it would work out a lot better. So that's how you make a dog biscuit. So I'm going to make a couple more and come back. Okay, so we just finished these couple dog bones. We made 3 of them for our dog because we just didn't need that many. But you can always make 10, 15, or a million, whatever you want. But we just ended up making 3. Okay, this next one is a little bit difficult to make. This is a dog bed. So what you're going to need is 2 kinds of fabric. A regular, like cotton fabric, and some, like a fuzzy fabric, and cotton balls, and a glue gun, and I'll explain what you'll need it as we go. So you're going to need the regular fabric for kind of the outside of your dog bed. So this is kind of a cotton flannel fabric, but you can really use any fabric, even felt if you wanted to. But we just ended up using this kind of really nice green, like bright green fabric. And I'm just drawing out the shape that I want my dog bed to be. So basically, if you think about it, it's kind of like, and also use your dog to measure it, because the first time we tried, we made it too small. So I'm just drawing it out. It's basically a rectangle if you cut some squares out of the edges, because that's what your size is going to look. You'll be able to see what the shape is when you look at it once I cut it out. But I'm just using a pencil to draw it in, because you can always erase it once you're done. But I'm just using a pencil for this. You can use chalk or like a fabric marker that's like used for drawing out templates on fabric, but whatever. So I'm just cutting out my green fabric with some regular scissors. You can use fabric scissors, but we didn't really have any, so we just used regular scissors, and it worked out just fine. So here you can kind of see the shape coming to life. It looks like a rectangle with squares cut out of the edges. So I'm just cutting it out. And then I'm going to put it on top of the blue fuzzy fabric, because that's going to be the lining of our dog bed. And I'm just going to cut around it to make it the same shape. Okay, so now that we have our fabric all cut out, I'm going to take my glue gun and start gluing the edges together. Make sure you're aware of what you're doing, because the fuzzy side is going to be the inside of your dog bed. So here I'm just going to glue the whole bed together. I'm gluing around all the edges and making sure that everything is glued together, even around like that little square that we had to cut out. Make sure you glue around that little edge, because that'll come apart. And that part's important for putting the bed together in the end. So here we are, I'm just gluing it together. I glued the side of the bed together here, but I ended up not doing that for the rest of them, because it just was taking too long and it didn't make a difference in the end. So I ended up not doing that. But here I'm just gluing all the edges together, and this can be kind of tedious. And also I'm using a hot glue gun, so be really careful, because it's really hot. And if you're above the age of 11, I think you're okay. But I think if you're below 11, I would definitely get some help from your parents, because it's kind of hard, and the hot glue gun is really, really hot. So I'm just gluing the edges together. And also make sure when you're getting close to the end that you leave a hole open so you can stuff it with your cotton balls. We're using cotton balls because they're more easy to find. We do have stuffing, but we thought we would show you with cotton balls, because it works just the same. So you can use like pillow stuffing or whatever you want. You can even use feathers if you want, but we just use cotton balls because we assumed everybody has them. So, okay, so here I'm just gluing the last part of the bed together and making sure that I leave a hole open to stuff it, because if you close it, then you're going to have to end up cutting it open and then ruining it to stuff it. So just make sure you remember to stuff it, leave a hole to stuff it. You can even write yourself, like, when you draw your pattern out, you can write yourself, like, leave a little space there and show, like, write down like hole for stuffing or whatever. So here I'm showing you that's our hole, and I'm just going to take some cotton balls and rip them into pieces and kind of spread them out so they're more fluffy to be the inside of our dog bed. Okay, so now that it's finished being stuffed, I'm just gluing close the hole, and you want to glue close first where the cotton balls go in and then the edge of the bed to make sure the cotton balls stay sealed in. As you can see, I'm doing it in the video. It's kind of easier to watch than me explain, but I'm using a pencil to like make sure all the holes are closed because I really don't want to burn my fingers because I've been burned before and it hurts a lot, so be really careful. So now our bed is super fluffy, and you can see what I'm showing you in the video, which is how we're going to glue the edges together to make the bed kind of stand up by itself. So I'm just putting glue on the edges, and I'm holding it together. I used like a pencil to kind of like smooth it out. In the end, I actually ended up using binder clips to kind of hold it together to make sure it could dry in the correct position and make sure that I didn't burn my fingers while it was happening. So you can see it holds itself together like that, but it did start coming apart a little bit, so I use some binder clips. So here I finished gluing together the edges, and I glued some rope around the edges to make sure that they looked really nice and clean because they looked kind of sloppy, and it's really soft inside, and our doggy fits perfectly inside of it. So this is a great DIY for making a dog bed. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. So we made a dog bed, we made food and water bowls, and we made some treats. So if your baby lives plan on getting a dog or a cat, here are some DIYs that you can use for them. Bye!